So welcome everybody. This is June 20th, 2022 for your Sarasota Coaches Alliance. And I'm delighted you've all joined us. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn with a maven, a branding expert. But before I introduce Cheryl, who I really appreciate you being here. So I'm just going to ask you all to go very, and I really mean very, very briefly, just to say hi and who you are, and literally like a sentence what you do, because there's a lot of us today. And I want to spend as much time as we possibly can with Cheryl. So let's just do a very quick go round. I'm Leslie Austin. I'm a long-term member of the Coaches Alliance, and I'm an executive coach dealing with difficult people and helping them straighten up and fly right. I'm just going to call you out as I see you on my screen. So Jackie.
And also, let me interject for 1 second. If you have a burning question, desire, or knowledge as to why you're here on LinkedIn, also a quick sentence on maybe what is most important to you, like posting or what type of content, or being in the right community. So just a quick description of what you hope to get from today, that will be helpful as well.
I would like to say that we had 15 people registered and 14 are here, which may be a world record for us. So Cheryl, you're a big draw. That's great. Thank you. So Jackie, just a quick sentence or two. And if you have a particular question for Cheryl.
I'm Jackie Simmons, longtime GSCA member. I'm an emotional intelligence trainer with a certification program in that modality. I help coaches and healers heal themselves of their blocks so they can build their businesses. Confidence, clarity, certainty. Those are the 3 areas I work in. And my question about LinkedIn is about LinkedIn groups. I know a fair amount about how other groups on other platforms work, but nothing about how LinkedIn groups work.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Nina?
Hi there. My name is Nina Schmidt, and I'm a faculty member in finance at USF. I've joined this group a few years ago and learning a lot about coaching, and I try to apply that to my teaching to my classroom. The question I have on LinkedIn is, how do you improve your profile?
Might as well go. Deb Mazzacaro, coaching and consulting for specialty food companies. I'm a Gestalt trained coach and getting certified in positive intelligence. Oh, and my question would be, I have multiple positions. I'm a long-term consultant and coach, 21 years, and I have multiple positions. And so anyway, I have a new one to introduce. So I'm looking for marketing ideas, introducing another one without switching my brand, which is pretty well established.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Phyllis?
I'm Phyllis Muffson, and I'm a career coach. I primarily work with people who are changing, don't know what they want to do, although not one of my clients is doing that right now. So I'm mostly interested in creator tools, particularly the new ones. I'd like to get started with their audio events and do other stuff that I've seen demonstrated, but I haven't done yet myself. And I also I don't use LinkedIn that much, primarily because when I do something and it's successful, I get so much people writing to me with, like expecting answers, and it's just too time consuming, for me to deal with. Like, I don't want to be rude, but I don't want to answer all those questions from people who really are not my client or my friend.
You mean people selling you things, or just
No. I'll be, like somebody will write something and ask for your thoughts, and I'll comment, and then they'll put it together and put it in the newspaper, and then and then republish it. And then I'll have people saying, like, how do I find a recruiter in my area? How do I do this? What should I do for my husband?
That's a wonderful problem.
Yeah, but I actually avoid LinkedIn because of it. It's like I will get 20 or 30 letters.
No. Okay, that's a wonderful problem to have. That's-
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. Thank you. All right, Valerie?
Hi there, I'm Valerie Chalet. I'm a financial expert and as Stephanie told me, a personal transformation coach or something like that. I teach people how to stop lying about money and using it as their excuse not to live the life they want to live. And I hate social media. So anything that you have to offer, I mean, I just am on Facebook because I share pictures with my family. That's like the main reason that I use it. But I know I'm a decade or so behind in my thinking with this. And so I'll just try not to be repulsed. And then I'll feel like this was a successful meeting for me.
Thank you.
I've tried to not repulse you.
Thanks, Valerie. Margie?
Hi, I'm Margie Haas. I am an executive coach and I teach coaching. I do all kinds of things with coaching with a special emphasis on spiritual matters and really encouraging people to be all they can be. I ran a international recruiting business when I lived in Manhattan and Tokyo. And I really want to support people to think out of the box, and I do out of the box coaching, including a lot of human design right now. So that's my focus.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I didn't address the LinkedIn aspect. And hi, Cheryl. I haven't seen you in a million years, but we're still.
Margie, I know. It's so great to see you.
Nice to see you as well. I kind of have a resistance to social media, which Valerie, I understand. I'm overcoming because I don't see any other way to really function right now as the world is changing so radically. So anything you can say about LinkedIn, especially about groups, I tend to try to, I have this conviction that LinkedIn is really hard to use. And it's probably not true, but that's what I feel.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Chris Hannafin?
Chris Hannafin, I'm in Sarasota, Florida. I'm a psychotherapist and I use holistic methods that are extremely effective for anxiety, depression, trauma, etc. And I don't know anything about LinkedIn other than the name of it. And I try to read something about somebody on LinkedIn, but then you can't read it unless you're a LinkedIn member. So
You're not a member?
Pardon me?
You're not a member on LinkedIn?
I am not, no.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chris. Helen?
Hi, I am new to this group. I'm new to this meetup.
Welcome.
Thank you. I split my time between Chicago and Sarasota. I am currently in Chicago and I am the midlife mentor. I work primarily through my Thrive community. It's a membership that helps introspective and curious women 40 and over deepen their journeys of self-discovery and growth. I'm really into personal growth. So that's my business. And I use Facebook mostly, but after Facebook, I definitely use LinkedIn as well. And I'm interested in the differences between paid and unpaid accounts. Like, is it worth it to pay for an account? And secondly, I'm trying to figure out how to best utilize LinkedIn, which I mostly use for collaborations and to find other people, speakers for my membership and things like that. But how to use it to sell my membership. So what best practices maybe for posting or that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you very much and welcome. Leslie? I should say that I'm a secret spy. Leslie is a friend and colleague, and she is joining us from Scotland. So good evening, and I hope you're having a good dinner time.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to be here. Yeah, I'm Leslie, and as Leslie says, I'm in Scotland. I work as a coach, facilitator, mostly in the world of entrepreneurship. We spend so much time at work that I believe passionately that it's important to enjoy your time at work and believe in what you do. So I basically work with two groups of people. One is CEOs and the executive team, mostly of small tech businesses, and they tend to be my male clients. And then I do a lot of work with women. Quite often it's more with the individual woman, and it's basically mission, vision, values, and signature strengths, getting those aligned with who you really are, and then taking that into your work, whether that's your own business or whether it's a more conventional professional career. But you spend so much time there, you better enjoy doing it.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I'm Stephanie Markuski. I'm an ADHD life coach and also a tiny habits coach. And I'm starting to try to bring together our villagelessness feelings and moms, especially of neurodivergent kids and with neurodivergence themselves. I'm trying to bring circle in. So I held my first circle the other night, and I'm looking to bring that elsewhere in person. So anyways, in terms of LinkedIn, though, sorry, I would definitely like an opportunity to get an idea of, so I'm completely changed careers from construction management, which is very male dominated, to this ADHD life coaching. And I'm just trying to navigate, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome showing up, and I'm just trying to figure out the best way to navigate. Do I just get rid of all the people that I really don't need from my past? So anyways, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you. And Colleen?
Hi, everyone. I'm new to the group. I live in Bradenton, Florida. I'm an executive leadership coach and consultant, facilitator. And as far as LinkedIn, I really need a refresh. I've been on LinkedIn a long time. I haven't been highly involved with it. A lot of my clients come to me from large companies, and I really want to be able to kind of brand myself so that I can do more things on my own versus just having all the clients come to me from large companies that I've been working with. So when I find some ways to leverage LinkedIn more effectively. So thanks. Look forward to today.
Let's get going. I am so delighted to introduce Cheryl. Cheryl and I go back about 1,000 years. We know each other very well. And I'm delighted that she took the time out of her very busy schedule to be with us today. So Cheryl Fenelle Dixon is a strategic communication consultant and fractional chief communication officer. And I want to know what that means. With more than 30 years of experience driving internal and external communication for iconic global companies across business verticals, including home furnishings, consumer packaged goods, beauty, luxury, and professional services. And only 2 of the companies I remember that she's done very senior work for are Chanel USA and Coty, among many others. So she's really a high-end professional here. She's also an adjunct professor in the Master MS Strategic Communication Program at Columbia University, and an advisor to late-stage startups and entrepreneurs. She helps businesses, brands, and leaders to find their voice and tell their story with impact to key audiences. And I'm delighted that she's going to talk to us today about our branding and LinkedIn and whatever else we need to know. So Cheryl, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, thank you. Yes, I have known Leslie for a million years, and when she asked me to come and speak to the group, I was very happy to do it. So it's so nice to meet all of you. Thank you for sharing a bit about yourselves as well as what you're looking for from today's session. So I'm going to put on my professor hat and kind of run it like I do my classroom. So in addition to my corporate work, which Leslie, thank you for reading my stuffy bio, but in short, short, yes, I've worked across communications disciplines for 30 years. I've worked for big global iconic companies, and my personal journey, I left my last company right before the pandemic. My thought was I was going to take a month, dust off the toxicity, and lean into a job search. But then COVID hit. Columbia asked me to take on more. I've been a professor for 15 years, first at NYU, where Leslie and I really got to know each other. Well, we knew each other before that. She got me into NYU, really a million years ago. And I've been at Columbia in the Master of Science program for Strategic Communication. So I've been teaching for 15 years, and I embarked on this consulting journey. And so I've been doing a lot of the work that you all have been talking about, kind of redefining my brand, my vision, what I want to do, with whom, who are my clients, how do I find them, how do I get business? So even though I've been a communications professional for a very long time, I'm kind of going through some of the same questions that you all have. So I am a communications expert. Am I a LinkedIn expert? There are people that make LinkedIn expertise their business. That is not my business, but I use it. I know how to use it well. And I think that, certainly our conversation today and some of the challenges or opportunities that you've all raised, we can absolutely talk through, and I'll go through the tactics of how to use the groups and how to improve the profile. There's some more content driven and brand positioning driven questions that you have, like how to identify who you are when you have multiple positions. How do you manage your network if you have a prior professional life, and you want to explore who that person is now. So we'll go through some of that. So I do have some slides, but I prefer a good engaged group. We have a small enough group where we can do that. So just to keep the conversation flowing, I will ask you to use the raise the hand feature, but please jump in with questions. This is not a soliloquy. It's going to be much more fun, engaging for all of us, and we can learn from each other if you have questions. So let me share my screen and start off with the PowerPoint. Let's do slideshow. Here was the agenda that I had put together, but we can be flexible on that, and we can dive into any of these a bit more and move past some of them that are not appropriate. So I'm going to look to each of you for that feedback and input as we go along. So we already took care of the introductions for the most part. Then we're going to talk about who are you? Not an existential crisis, but who are you as professionals? Who do your clients see you as? And now I'm thinking, when we go into what we use LinkedIn for. So the people that don't like social media, I don't like really social media either, to be very, very honest, but it is a business necessity. So we're going to talk about really how best to use it as well. So who are you? And then as importantly, who is your audience? Why do we care about who our audience is? It's what do we want to get from LinkedIn? Are the people that we want to reach on LinkedIn? There are some communities that, may be better served through Facebook, but it is still going to be important. And I will argue with this. It's still important for you to have a professional profile on LinkedIn, even if it is not the source for clients or your business. So I invite you to think about that, and, be a little flexible and creative with that. But that still is important. And I looked at LinkedIn as a channel. So we're going to talk about your communication and brand strategy and your storytelling strategy, and whether it is through LinkedIn, whether it's through Facebook, how you use the same bit of content and execute on LinkedIn and Facebook. We'll talk about that as well. So especially those of you who are very active on Facebook, I expect you to pipe in and share some examples and ask questions around that. So after who your audience is and you determine truly who they are, what do you want them to know about you? What are your goals? What actions do you want them to take? So, I actually was having a deep conversation with Leslie just a couple of weeks ago, and something came out of my mouth that I just, I'm like, oh, that sounded really good. I hadn't practiced it, but I said to Leslie, speak their truth before you speak yours. Because again, I know Leslie really, really well. And when she was describing her vision and her mission and what she wants to do and how she works, I completely get it because I know Leslie. But if you are trying to attract new clients and they're not understanding what you're saying, you have to connect with them first and grab their attention first. So that's what I meant by speak their truth, talk in their language, the benefits that they understand before you speak yours. So it's a little bit of shift of thinking. We have a lot of we have coaches here. We have people who are very self-aware, very in tune, that truly know how to express themselves. But now we're going to add this business language. How do we express ourselves in ways that people less intuitive, less self-aware, less in touch with perhaps the soft skills or the benefits of coaching will understand? I do it as a professional communicator all the time. People don't understand the difference between internal comm, organizational comm, public relations, issues management. They think all communications is PR, and it's getting things out in the press, and they don't understand how it works from a business perspective. So we need to introduce that language a little bit to each of you when you understand who your audience is, what they want to talk about, and what they need to hear from you before they understand what type of coach you are, what methodology you use. They want to know, well, how am I going to benefit and how is my business going to benefit from working with you? So again, it's talking their values and their truth first, and we'll go into that. And finally, your profile. A couple of people were asking, how do I improve my profile? So I'm going to take you through all the tips and tricks and point you to, well, you can certainly even Google, best tips for a LinkedIn profile and get more. There is no shortage of checklists out there, but I'm going to show you real time how to use some of the more important functions and how to get seen, how to use hashtags, how to use groups, how often to post, what to post about, how to use those hashtags and handles, how to become part of a larger conversation. So those are all tips that we should be using. And then finally, being part of the LinkedIn community. All right, any questions so far?
I'm exhausted already. No, I'm kidding.
Who is having their third cup of coffee? Go for it. Okay. All right. I hope I didn't exhaust anyone else yet. All right. So let's get going. Well, this is me. I already introduced myself a little bit, but this is my website here at the top of the page. It's CherylFDixon.com. Some of the brands I've worked for, as Leslie mentioned, I worked for businesses across different verticals, which makes me, since I kind of fell into consulting, I realized it makes me actually a very good consultant because I am, expert in certain industries, not so much in others, but I ask really good questions. So, there's a lot of synergies to, all of you being coaches and working with people of, different backgrounds and different types of industries.
Cheryl, I'll just interject that one of my long-term business mentors, Alan Weiss, would call both you and me and several others here process consultants. In other words, you're not industry specific, but you are a topic or process consultant across industries. And I find that a very helpful term.
That's a good term. I call myself a pracademic because I have the practicing, I'm a practicing communications professional, but I also can come at it from theory and strategy. Margie, go ahead, please. Margie, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm just curious. In looking at your biography, it raises a question about mine, where you have a master's, so obviously you have an undergraduate degree as well, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, what is it? And not because I'm curious because it sounds like you've not mentioned that because it's not relevant. Is that correct? And should we do that?
Well, for me personally, if I have my master's, who cares what my bachelor's is in?
Especially if it's something different. Is that correct? Because mine is in Asian studies. And I'm not sure it's really, really relevant to who I am now in terms
I'm going to stop you right there. So personally, my bachelor's is in communication studies. So I am a career and, scholar of communications. And I've done other workshops and I have lots of other education. But, what I've done here, and thank you for the question because it's an important one, and we're jumping ahead a little bit. What does your audience need to know? And what is relevant to them? What do they care about? Now, Asian studies could be very interesting if you are working with Asian clients, if you are working with clients that want to or are expanding their business in Asian countries, and most companies are. So the fact that you understand the Asian culture, perhaps Asian business, that might be very appealing to them. So as you are looking at your background, you're going to think about what is most important and what is most relevant to my audience. So anytime, and I have a couple of different bios of varying lengths and talking about the companies I've worked at. Sometimes I don't mention the companies I work at. Sometimes I will highlight one business sector over another. If I'm doing any work in the luxury sector, they want to know that I've worked at Chanel and that I was a journalist in the jewelry industry. So I really think about what's important. What do these people need to know about me to make them feel secure and successful in trusting me? And, why should they listen to me? So it's my credentials out the gate. And, I don't know about you all, but I am not good at promoting myself. I don't like doing it. I am a natural introvert. You would never guess it. I've been teaching for 15 years. I can, certainly get up in front of a classroom and wing it better than most, but that's because I'm talking about my profession and what I love and really not talking about me. But I have found that in my work, it is critical, so I throw out, yeah, I'm a professor at Columbia. And yes, I have my master's, but that doesn't hold as much weight as being a professor at Columbia and some of the big names I've worked for. So that's a quickie lesson in looking through your background, your content, your bio, and what is going to resonate with the person you're trying to reach. So, and this is really important foundational work before we get into the tactics, which I promise I'm going to show you how to use all of these tactics and, get you technologically familiar with it. But I think that this is really an important foundation to really think about curating your brand, what it is you want to say, whom you're talking to before anything else. Thank you for the question. Anything else?
Yeah, Cheryl, somebody's asking what your LinkedIn link is.
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't put that on, but if you go on LinkedIn and you just put in my name, you'll be able to find me easily. It's Cheryl Fenelle Dixon.
Cheryl F. Dixon.
It's Cheryl Fenelle Dixon.
Okay,
No.
great. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. There's a lot of Cheryl Dixons, but
Sorry, there's a lot of Cheryl Dixons. Oops. Put in Cheryl Fenelle Dixon. I'll put it up in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's me. All right, other questions so far? All right. So let's first talk about who are you? I know I've got the right audience full of coaches. I'm sure you asked this question of your clients, who are you? But when I talk about who are you from a professional perspective, I'm asking, what is your brand? Who thinks that they have their a good brand aesthetic, really has defined and refined their brand? Okay, I see one person thumbs up. No one else? Okay. All right. So Jackie, what makes you feel, or what work have you done on your brand that makes you really believe it's solid?
Well, I worked with 2 different branding companies that deep dove into my personality to come up with some language and some imaging. And then I studied my own human design, some help from Leslie there, and realized that the personality is there, which is just came out in I just launched a podcast because I'm feeling solid about both the imagery and the personality of what I do.
Okay. So very interesting personality, especially when you are a service and you're working with other people and your service is your knowledge and your personality. Your personality is very important. Leslie is nicknamed the Lion Tamer. And, when I first looked at her bio, I said, why isn't that on the top? You have the moniker, the Lion Tamer, because you work with jerks and you are able to really, in them, and you're working with high-powered people. That's a very important part of your personality. Deb, you had your thumbs up as well. Can you share?
Yeah, so I'm in my 21st year in doing what I do and have been in this industry a long time, and people know me as Coach Maz. So I've just established a niche. I'm a big fish in a small pond, if you will. People know who I am, and I worked with a LinkedIn coach for a number of years as well. So yeah, I think I have a pretty solid presence on LinkedIn and in my newsletter, and just how I present on a regular and consistent basis.
Okay. When you say how you present on a regular and consistent basis, what are you presenting? What brand do people think or are they perceiving when they interact with you in your communications?
Right. So expert in specialty food, the logistics, sales, marketing, strategy.
Excellent.
And and the way I write, everything I write is not about food. They're all food centric. Like, this tastes great and this is the newest trend. I don't do any of that. I only do best business practices. So I understand their business, but I bring an additional value. How do you write? How do you run a business? How do you do best business practices?
All right, fantastic and wonderful example to share. So as Deb was talking, we honed in very quickly on what is her area of expertise, right? So there's a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of consultants out there. So when I ask you, what is your brand? What is your point of difference? What do you need to be known for? What do you want to be known for? When you have a strong point of difference, a brand differentiator, that makes it far easier for clients, consultants, and others to connect with you and understand the value that you're bringing. Otherwise, you are fighting against others that do the same thing you do, that perhaps have more time. They've hired someone to do all their social media and LinkedIn for them, and you're then in a numbers game. Okay. So after you decide, like, what is your brand? What is your personality? What do you offer? What specifically do you offer, and what benefits are you giving to your target audience? And we're going to get to that specifically in a few slides. So I just added this. So I pulled these slides together last night and this morning, and I received a note on LinkedIn. Let me know if there's something I can help you with. So this gentleman saw one of my clients. I'm now working for a former boss of mine who is at a cannabis startup. It's a gift card company. And I guess he saw that I was working in cannabis, and he has something to do with cannabis, but he said he wanted to connect with me to learn about my business and see what he could learn from me. So he's not offering me anything. He's sucking my energy, wanting to learn from me. Then he sent me a random article today and said, let me know if there's something I can help you with. What's the problem with that statement? Anyone?
Well, it totally serves him, but it's not about you. And why would you want to talk to him anyway?
Yeah.
It's so general. I mean, send me a check, or there are tons of things you can help me with. It's too general.
Yeah. You're making me work really hard. you're making me work to understand, like, what you need from me. Jackie, go ahead.
My response would be clean my house and mow my lawn.
Okay, that could be, well, weed my garden. Yeah, like my garden is really, really bad. So yes. So, facetiousness aside, yes, too general, now this could be someone that's well-meaning. And it could be someone who could be a valuable contact. So, unless someone is blatantly being disrespectful or, spamming me, I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt because they just don't know how to use LinkedIn really well, or their soft skills aren't really there. I did offer to somebody recently, I forgot who it was, but he offered something up and his communication strategy was horrible. And I said, well, I don't think you really read my profile. I'm an independent consultant. I don't have a big company, but I work with people and companies like yours to help them with their communication strategy and outreach. So I flipped it around and offered my services. But so, yeah, we hit it on the head. Let me know if there's something I can help you with. When you identify with a potential client or an audience, when your when their need state and your offering state is clear. Again, it's not throwing spaghetti at the wall. You're being far more targeted and putting information out there to hopefully a very captive audience. So the next question that, I pose to all of you is, what is your Derek Jeter? Position or skill set? So let me explain. Earlier in my career, I was at a crossroads, and I was kind of used to doing everything in communications. I've done internal comm, I've done external comm, run the whole list. And I was applying to roles and I was getting very frustrated. And I'm thinking, why am I not even getting a call back for this role? I can do this. Have they not seen my experience? Have they not seen the companies that I've worked for? And, very wise mentor told me, well, just because you can do it doesn't mean you're the best at it or you should be doing it. So I bring it back to Derek Jeter. So Derek Jeter, pretty good baseball player, right? Even if you don't know baseball, hopefully you know Derek Jeter. He could play probably almost any position, but he doesn't. He's the best at what he does. So if you find what is your skill set, your offering that you are better at than anybody else, all of a sudden you are demolishing that playing field, and you are positioning yourself and your point of difference above everyone else. And I imagine you're also going to attract the type of clients you want to attract. Again, when I asked Leslie can coach anybody. Doesn't mean she wants to, doesn't mean she should. She has a vision in her mind of the types of people or companies that she wants to coach. Why? Because she is the lion tamer and she is exceptional at working with this type of client. So we can take a quick pause. Anyone want to share what they think their Derek Jeter position is? What are they best at than anyone else? And we can even do a kind of a group review and give some feedback. I'll call on somebody. Oh, Margie, go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know who the heck Derek Jeter is, but I'm really struggling with this. I do profound coaching if people are open to it. So wherever someone is really struggling, either, personal or professional, I tend to zero in and guide whoever I'm talking to really shift. I'm really a transformational coach. But to me, sad to say, it just sounds like a bunch of BS to other people unless they know me. And even in bars, I've been known to informally coach people and see them shift. I don't drink even except iced tea in bars, but I like interviewing people and probing but how to present myself, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So Jackie, I see you. Hold on one second there. Yeah. So if we all had our beverage of choice, I have water here. Some of you had coffee, some of you had tea. If we were to do a shot every time someone said the words transformation, results oriented,
I know.
throw the rest of them out, all the cliches that we've all heard a million times, all of those buzzwords. It's like transformation bingo. And also profound, right? And the reason this slide is up there, and you may not like me for this, you're going to curse me and say thank you at the same time, because I'm going to be on your shoulder going forward. Why? I'm going to say why, and how. How do you do this? Sure, you might cause a profound shift in your clients. Pardon my French, they don't give a shit. They want to know what's the benefit to them. So, maybe it's someone who doesn't know what they want from coaching. Your ability to read someone, hone in quickly on what their challenge is, that is a skill set. But as you said, Margie, from someone who doesn't understand it, if you can't explain it to them, they're not going to understand the value of what you do. So it's a hard exercise, but I invite each of you, go through the hard exercise and make a list. What is the benefit to your audience, and what do you do better than anybody else? Maybe
Cheryl,
you're very background. Go ahead.
I'll add something to what from a conversation we had a few weeks ago, where I was talking in a similar way that Margie is about, the effect on people and the kind of coaching I do. And you said that's all process, and that's not the point. It has to be the how, the benefit to them, not my process. They'll get my process once they start to talk to me. And that it is a challenge.
I said that. Yeah.
But it's a challenge.
Yeah, so I did say that. So that's where, again, speak their truth before you speak yours. Your process, it's wonderful if someone understands coaching and understands and values what you do. And again, as a communications professional, there are plenty of C-suite executives that don't understand what I do. They think it's PR, or they think it's employee communications, and therefore it should be HR. No disrespect to human resources professionals. They're often my partners. They're wonderful, smart people, but they're not communicators. It's a separate profession. So you really need to think about, from their benefit, what is important to them. They want performance. They want promotions. They want visibility. They want to get more out of their teams. They want to make more money. They want to be more effective. So you have to flip it. How you get there is your magic, right? But you need to think about and start with, what is their end game?
Cheryl, when the end game is intangible and tailored to the individual, what you say in theory sounds obvious, but this is not easy by any means.
It's not.
I'm finding people who work with me really shift, if they're open to shifting. But this is really hard, especially on Facebook and social media, when you're not in the physical same location with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna table that for just a moment. I'll say one quick thing. Jackie's had her hand up. It is hard. That's why this slide is up here, and that's why I'm here talking with you. Now, all of you, I know this is a very talented, experienced group. Is there anyone here that couldn't claim the same thing that Margie is claiming? That, right? She causes transformation. The way she works is profound. I mean, coaching, it's intuitive. It's who you are as a person, and you have all of these skill sets that make you an excellent coach. But the problem is, every single one of these people in this group can say the same thing, right? What makes you different? Didn't say it was going to be easy, but that's something really important. Maybe it's your global experience. Maybe you specialize in one type of client. Maybe you specialize in one type of outcome. Okay, but that's something to think about. All right, Jackie, thank you for being patient.
No worries. I'm appreciating this a great deal.
Good.
My clients want more clients. They want more impact. I work with coaches and healers, and they struggle to stand out in a marketplace. They struggle with this very thing we're talking about, how to articulate the outcomes that people get from working with them. And to feel confident in that struggle, to feel confident while they engage and learn the language of the people, the people that they want to work with. And, I come along and I go, what if you could guarantee results for your clients? And that gets them into a different mindset. So that's always my opening question for them.
Yeah. Again, it's a hard one. It's an important one. And again, that's why I'm starting with this and not jumping into all of the technical how-tos, because I believe that this is really critically important. Before you start hashtagging and tagging people and posting, really getting your own narrative down and down well. And if you're stuck, start looking at your peer group and seeing, how people position themselves and what's their point of difference. So Margie, perhaps Asian studies, perhaps you have a concentration in this, in this culture. Perhaps you've worked with big companies that are looking to expand into Asia. I'm completely making that up. Perhaps you're working with individuals that, are finding challenge in, as a new manager. So just really thinking about, honing in. What's your Derek Jeter? He's a really good baseball player, and that's, pretty famous. I don't know baseball that well, but I know him. All right. Other thoughts or questions? Phyllis, go for it.
So one of the things I did that helped me enormously is I interviewed a whole lot of my clients. And actually, probably for the first 8 or 10 years I was working, I interviewed everybody when we completed. And I had them fill out questionnaires. And all of my materials are mostly quotes from clients. So it'll be like, most everyone says, working with me is, or, the thing I like best about working with Phyllis is she made a stressful, scary time into something that was more of an exciting exploration. But I could see that there were themes that came up again and again and again. So it is about my personality, but I can talk about it from somebody else.
Wonderful, Phyllis. Thank you. It's about the theme. I'm sure that all of your clients, or hopefully all of your clients, will be able to say you're wonderful. You made the earth move and you changed their lives. That's what coaches do. How? How did you change your lives? I'm going to skip ahead a couple of slides, and I'm going to go back.
Okay.
Hold on. This is the slide I want to go to. So with your audience, so thinking about who your audience is, what do you know about them? What's important to them? What are their needs? What are their priorities? What are their goals? Are they about to get fired because they're a jerk? Are they not moving up in their careers because their personality is not serving them, or their communication style is not serving them? Or do they need to grow their business and they don't know how? All right, so you're speaking again from their needs, their priorities, their goals. Someone, and I'm sure those of you that have worked with executives, when you say, well, I want, I'm going to coach you to be a better leader. And they say, well, I don't care about being a better leader. I just want people to perform better. Sound familiar? Okay, well, then you're not going to say, I'm going to help you be a better leader. No, we're going to say, I'm going to help you get the most out of your people. Which do you think is going to go over better with your client?
Cheryl, I'm going to interrupt for a moment. I hope this doesn't throw this off too much, but a number of people in this group are not specifically working in business or with executives or that kind of coaching. They're healers or they're more personal work. Can you give examples of how for people who aren't specifically working with business?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer, someone who is a healer and working with people. Jackie, yes. Okay. So give me an example of how you help or what people come to you for.
They're stuck.
They're stuck. Okay.
They're stuck. They have some success in their life and they're either in danger of losing it or they are just stuck and they can't grow and they don't know why. But they're frustrated and overwhelmed. They're busy, as my daughter calls it. They're doing a lot of things, but not making any headway.
Okay, great example. Thank you for sharing. So when we talk to someone like that, what is important to them? What are their priorities? What are their needs? They need to feel better about themselves. They need to feel productive. They need to feel like they're moving forward. They need to feel less frustrated. They need to feel that their time is being spent better. So that's off the top of my head. That's what they need. What are their priorities? They want to maybe find a better balance, work-life balance. Maybe they want to spend more time with their families. Maybe they want to grow their own business. And you know, the goals you work on together. Okay, Deb said that she needs to drop. Okay. So was that helpful? Were those a couple of good, good examples?
Yes, and yeah, the power of what you're doing in this group is amazing. For my languaging around this, what I've discovered is that I tend to only go this deep, and you did a great job of breaking that down earlier for the last person you were talking to.
Thank you.
Getting to their generic words, the root, the simplest way to express it. It tends to be my biggest challenge because I'm a storyteller.
Yeah. So I'm a storyteller. I'm a former journalist as well. So let me backtrack a little bit. Yes, communications is my profession. I started out as a journalist, and the thing about our professions, there's a lot of symbiotic kind of nature to our professions. If we can't explain it to someone else in the way that they will understand in their language and how they see benefit, we could be the best at what we do, but we're not going to get anywhere. That's why we're spending time on this. And we also tend to be very wordy, and it's tough. It's tough to cut. It's tough to line edit, right? And that's basically what you're doing. So if you were forced, if your feet were held to the fire, and I'm forcing you to explain in a couple of sentences what it is you do for whom, that is, well, then that's actually going to be the summary of your LinkedIn profile. So there is a method to this madness and why we're doing this work and why we're talking about this now. And going back to the other slide, what's really helpful, and you have a fantastic networking group here, have an objective reviewer. Ask one of your peers, hey, can you take a look at my summary and see if it makes sense? Is it too wordy? Is it too fluffy? Is it, you have, Phyllis has all of her clients giving her the feedback and filling out that form, which I think is wonderful. Ask a client, does this really capture what I do and what I've done for you? So use those resources. It's the curse of knowledge. You're so close to it, you don't know if you're being clear to somebody else. And that is a challenge of LinkedIn. That's a challenge of putting forth your personal brand. Okay. Other questions so far? Okay. So I'm going to backtrack. So what do you know about them? We talked about what's important to them. We talked about to whom do they listen? So that's when we get into creating content on LinkedIn, you're going to notice that there are big people in the industry. There are the thought leaders in the industry, in your various industries. There might be a Simon Sinek, there might be Brene Brown, there might be, people that follow well-known people. So, or, it could be from a more personal client. Well, your client, the listens to their parents and doesn't listen to anyone else, or they won't listen to you, but they'll listen to someone else that they trust. So, that it's really important to know how they receive information in the best way. and who are their influencers. Okay. So going backwards, and who your audience truly is. So, I don't know where you're at in terms of business building or client building, but, are you casting a very, very wide net? Have you really thought about, no, I've cast that wide net earlier in my career. Here's who I want to focus in on. And the more you can say, here are the people that really will resonate with what I bring to the table. Even in my consulting career, I'm doing this for almost, well, it'll be 2 years. And I've found, I don't want to say quickly because it took some trial and error, but, some of the bigger companies that I've approached, those are really not the people that want what I do. Though, I could work for a bigger company and I'm doing smaller communication projects. I've found that the people that really need me are the CEO or new CEOs, new leaders that have just joined a company, need to set their mission, their vision, their communication structure is in chaos, or they don't know that they need to communicate. They don't understand. So, it's communications 101 for the C-suite. And I talk business benefit. And I've learned, it's taken, several years, but I've learned to not take it personally when they don't understand what I do or the benefit of it. It becomes my job to convince them of that. So who are my potential clients? Those are some of the, your audience on LinkedIn, because you're thinking when you are posting on LinkedIn, we don't want to post into this big void. So those of you that hate social media, who are those people? Hate social media? That's why, because you're putting things out into the black hole. Not only will you scroll endlessly on TikTok, thank you to my 10-year-old niece who's gotten me on that bad habit, but it's who am I targeting? Who do I want to read this? Because you can't be everything to everyone. I think we've all learned that lesson at some point in our careers. Who do you want to be to whom? So I want to be careful how much time we're spending on this because I could talk about this particular part all day. So I'm going to move past this a bit so that we can get into the tactics. And if some of you has other questions, we can either do a part 2 or you can connect with me. But again, this is the communications work, the important part. So who are we communicating with on LinkedIn? Your potential clients. Peers. So, we have a purpose. We have a reason for being on LinkedIn. We want to attract business. We want to validate our credentials. We want to establish ourselves as someone serious in our industry. We want to raise our credentials. We want to be taken more seriously. Even if you don't do business on LinkedIn, what's one of the first things that people do when they want to work with you? Are you credible? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? Maybe. Do you have a LinkedIn? What's your LinkedIn profile? So, and that means complete with a photo, with a summary and followers and some sort of content up there. So whether you use it or not, think of it as your business card. People will look for you there. Okay. Other audience members, fellow brainstormers, connecting with your community. I'm going to teach you about the groups. I'm going to teach you about the hashtags. All right. Burning questions? Stop me if you have them. Okay.
You said 3 things and I only wrote down 2. You said a photo, summary, and what was the third thing that our LinkedIn profile needs to have?
What did I say? Followers?
Well, I'm glad it's not just me.
Content, followers.
Followers, thank you.
I was recording because when I think off the top of my head, I'm in the moment and I don't even remember what I said. So yeah. But we're gonna look at it, and I'm going to show you mine. We're going to do a post together. Okay. So again, I'm trying to get to everyone's hot buttons here. And Leslie, how much time do we have?
25 minutes total.
Okay, good. So 25 minutes left, right? Okay. Let's get moving. All right. What do you want them to know about you? We've talked about this. What do you offer? What is your unique skill set? Where are you the Derek Jeter? What is your point of difference? What does your audience need and want from you? Think from their perspective about the results that they want. Okay, so look at an advertisement and look, pick any retail brand. They talk from the voice of the consumer, right? Wear these sneakers, you're going to be the best athlete. Wear this makeup, you're going to be sexy and beautiful and young. They're not talking about the process of putting on the foundation or the care that they put into their, making their products. Their first contact is, this is what you want to achieve. Okay. Speak their truth before you speak yours. This, if I were teaching a communications class, this would be the most important slide of the entire presentation, but it's not in our perspective, but you'll get these. I just ask that you don't distribute these. This is my content, but please pay attention to this. This is a goal matrix. And when we communicate out to people, we often focus on what we want them to do. Or I take that back. I'm with a group of coaches. We might focus on what we want them to feel or what we want them to know. But when we're setting out to communicate, we have options and opportunities to talk about what we want people to take from it. So what do I want the audience to know? Okay, so for example, you might want your audience to know that you've been coaching for 25 years, that you've coached all over the world, that you've had, that you've transformed X number of careers, or that you use a different method. What do I want the audience to believe? What are the opinions or conclusions that you want them to believe? That you are able to help them, that you understand them, that you know what their priorities are, and you're going to speak to them. What do you want them to do? Okay. What is your call to action? When you put content out there, I see, and I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes I'll just see something interesting and I'll put content out there. And what's my call to action? I want you to call me up and ask me a question or hire me as a consultant. So who was it that had that? Phyllis, was it you? Did we lose Phyllis?
She had a meeting, she had to jump.
Okay, so, when she says, well, I get people calling and asking me questions, that is a fantastic problem to have. You can say no, you can say happy to talk with you, if you'd like, an introductory call or, work with me as a client, sign this form or, set time with me. So it's a matter of how do I handle those types of inquiries? How much are you giving away for free? And how much do you want to use that as a business foundation? And then the emotions you want your audience to feel. So again, you'll get these slides. Okay, so your profile. Now let's get into the down and dirty and actual creating a profile and working on LinkedIn. So here are some of the keys that your profile should have. What your story is. So all the time we spent about your point of difference and what's your story, that's going to be your story, your summary, and your brand, because you have the opportunity to change the background graphic. So if you have branding, if you have a book, if you have awards, you can create any photo you want and put it as your background banner, and that brands you. You do not need to use the generic on LinkedIn. You want your summary. Who you are, what you do, being able to explain it in a few lines. That is why Margie hates me right now, and why I'm pushing all of you to be able to explain it in a couple of lines, because people do not have that attention span. They're going to skim and they're going to see if you fit their needs and what makes you different from anybody else. The keywords, what are some of the keywords that people look for? Yes, they look for business transformation, but what is your specialty? Have you worked with global clients? Do you work with people in recovery? So what are the keywords that someone might search on you for? Okay, so if I say, I'm feeling stuck and I want someone who can work with me to help me manage my time and my career better while also having some personal benefit. Okay, those are all buzzwords. Those are all keywords that I want to make sure that I include. Your point of difference, which we've talked about. Your profile picture and the background, just talked about that. Your featured work, I'm going to show you how we use that. Recommendations. If you have recommendations from clients, this is where they belong. You must have those recommendations filled out. Has anyone used LinkedIn recommendations before? Anyone not used LinkedIn? Okay, better question. Raise your hand if you haven't used LinkedIn recommendations. No shame or blame in that. Okay. Oh, just a couple? Okay. Oh, no, a bunch have not used recommendations. All right, going to show you how to do that. And then, this is, go
I
ahead.
apologize. Can I ask a question about that? Because for a while there, people would just recommend me, like former classmates would recommend me that I could do project management or whatever.
Mhm.
They haven't worked with me. Yes, I have the degree. I have no problem with that. But it was so commonplace, it didn't seem like it was actually useful.
Right. There's the difference between an endorsement for a skill and a recommendation. What you're talking about are endorsements of a skill. There's a difference. So I'll show you that difference once we go live. We're just gonna go onto my LinkedIn page and start tooling around, and I'll show you. So what happens with endorsements is when you set out your skill section, so that's something else that belongs. Your point of difference is also your skills section. It will, so LinkedIn has an algorithm where it will reach out to your community and say, do you want to endorse this person? I have strategic communications as one of my skill sets. Do you agree? And you kind of do a vote. So you'll see how many people have endorsed me for it. A recommendation is something different entirely.
Cheryl, I'm wondering, because of time, if we should just go to your live and you should talk about these things, showing it on your profile, if that would work.
I'm going to spin through 3 more slides. Yeah.
All right, we've got 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Chris, so much content.
I always over prepare. Sorry.
Yeah.
We could do part 2. Chris, did you have a question? No. Okay. All right. So let's see here. All right. I'm just going to spin these. Post, comment, share, engage, add value, have a call to action. That's the how. What to post. These are the types of things to post. You can read that on your own. And then when to post. So I did some research. According to HubSpot, there are better times than others on when to post. So you'll get that when you get the slides. And this is the last slide, creating a post. Topic, adding a link, tagging people, using hashtags, or posting to a group. So let's do one, and I'll show you the difference. All right, so let me stop this screen share. Okay, so we are going to All right, is everyone seeing my LinkedIn page? All right, cool. So let's go to home. And let's go, close that. And I'm going to shut PowerPoint just because my MacBook doesn't have as much power. Okay. All right, so let's go to my profile. Okay, there's me. So here, you see my background. That's just a picture. I actually took that. That's on the Tappan Zee Bridge. And I happened to look down and there was this communication graphic. Could that be better? Yes. As I was doing the research to prepare for us, I'm thinking, oh, I should just really put a bunch of the brands that I've worked for up there. But, so let me move this aside. Oops. Okay, so you'll see here, I have my photo. Utilize, can everyone see my cursor when I do this? Okay, utilize this space so that if they read nothing else, they know what you are, who you are, and what you offer. And there's a whole bunch of statistics that show how keywords work here. But, in short, use this. People should be able to know what you do and what you offer from this summary section. Very important. Okay. here, when I do hashtags, there's an algorithm. It will put this, so LinkedIn did it for me. What I often post about. I often post about leadership, communication, change management, and strategic communications. I'm going to show you how to find the hashtags. Open to work, if someone wants to hire me, that's private. And providing services. So this is also very important. What are the services that you provide? So you can add this section. So here are all of the services I provide. So your services, you can edit the page. So this is my admin view. And okay, I can put in all of the services and keywords that I provide so that when someone is looking for someone that provides this, they will find you. Okay. You also can add media. If you speak, if your TED Talkers, your videos, you can add any media that you want as part of your featured content. And I'm going to show you some other featured content. Okay. I need to get going and do some more reviews, clearly. I'm going to show you how to do that. Questions about this part? Okay.
It's simply, I noticed that the services are not in like alphabetical order. Was there a strategy behind the order they were in?
No.
Okay, just checking.
No, and should I? Maybe. But to me, like if someone is searching, that's how they're going to find me. Okay. So analytics, now you'll see here how many people are viewing your profile. If your post is successful, this is, kind of this, we can do a part 2 about content, Leslie, because when you post something and you get a lot of interaction and activity, you're going to say, okay, I'm on to something. I find that if I'm quoted in Forbes, and I say, oh, very happy to share, my latest article when I was in Forbes, the people that know and love me say, oh, yay, congratulations, wonderful. But that's it. If I post something more personal or I post more tips, then I get more engagement. So I've learned myself what types of posts that I post that get more attention and engagement. When I post and tag other people, I get a lot more engagement because I expand my audience. Okay. And then also search appearances. This is going to help you with your buzzwords because I can look under search appearances. So in the last week, I guess I see I've had 197 search appearances, and here are the keywords that I was found for. And this is not an exact science, clearly, because I'm not a customer service representative. But I guess somewhere, yeah. So this is why the buzzwords are really quite important. It also shows me the companies that my searchers work at. So if you have someone that is checking you out and you can be able to see the company, that might be a sales lead. You can also see the top titles of your searchers, who are the people that are looking at you. So there's quite a lot of analytics here.
Those analytics are available only if you pay, right?
I believe those advanced analytics are available if you're paid. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whose your profile is available if you're paid. But if not, so I'm going to skip and maybe let's just do how actually to do a post. I do think that this featured content is available to anybody. So basically, you want to add a profile section here. And you can add a featured area. So here on these are all of the articles that I've been quoted in. So I want those front and center. Why do I do this? I want the credibility. Okay. So I can post my own and put it as featured. So for example, and then you also have your activity here. Let's go through the profile, then we'll do a post. About. So here's my about section. Here's my summary section. So if you'll notice, yes, I have a laundry list of key competencies down here, but I don't lead with that because I'm expecting someone to maybe read the first paragraph if I'm lucky. So I invite you and encourage you. If you read my first paragraph and you don't think it captures me, I'd love to hear it. So let's do that for each other. I tried to make it a little spicy as well. Okay. Questions about the about or other sections?
I was a little confused earlier when you said that title list, what I know of as the title list right below the picture, you called it the summary. You had a lot more in there that I'm used to seeing.
Yes, because someone, a LinkedIn guru told me maximize that space.
Cool. Okay. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Okay. So again, I'm going to spin through a lot of this quickly, but I invite you to, again, Leslie, we can do part 2, but hopefully this will give you a good start. Okay. Then the experience, you all know about that. Education, you all know about that. One thing that's terrible, I put all of my advisory board positions under volunteering because I've held a lot of different positions and I don't want people to get confused. So if I say I'm a member of the board of advisors of Spruce, which is recent, they're not going to see my experience here as I'm a chief communications officer or fractional. I have been told conflicting things about my being a professor. I said, well, I'm not a professor at, something community college. I'm a professor at Columbia. That speaks highly to my credibility and my background and my skill set. So I want it here. Then I have the rest of my professional experience.
Cheryl, I think because of the constraints of time, if you could just show us how to do a post, we may just have time for that before we have to wrap up.
Wonderful. Okay.
So enormous amount of content. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So to do a post, let's go to home, start a post. Okay. So does everyone know how to use these at the bottom? Add a photo, add a video. This is pretty intuitive. Okay. So we didn't even get into groups. Leslie, we have to do part 2. This is too much content. But I'm going to show you how to do a post and then we're going to talk part 2. So here, this is the basics. Create a post. I'm posting it to anybody. Okay. If I wanted to, here are all of the groups. So I could post this to anyone. I could post it to anyone and also post to Twitter for you Twitter users, or I can select a group that I'm in. So I clicked group members. Here's all the groups that I'm in. So I can post something only to that group. And I'll show you how to do groups on part 2. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to do anyone. Okay, what do I want to talk about? Okay. Now here, spent the morning talking to a talented group of coaches about branding on LinkedIn. Here's what I did with the hashtag. Okay. When you think about a hashtag as the label of a conversation, say I'm interested in branding. People that follow the hashtag branding, it's like Twitter, right? They will see, even if you don't know people, your content will show up in the feed for branding. So when I talk about strategic communication, and you'll see once you start to put a hashtag and you type in, I often talk about strategic communications. So anyone who is following strategic communications, my content will appear in that feed, whether they're connected to me or not. So this is how you can expand your group and you expand your contacts. Okay, so you might have coaching. So here you have coaching skills, coaches, coach training, coaching life, coaching business. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay, so say we want to do coaching. And what might be another one? So transformation. Okay, transformation. Now I want to say who I'm with. So that's the @ sign. You put in the @ I'm with the fabulous Leslie Austin. Now this will show up on her feed to all of her people. And you will say you've been tagged in a post. So this is one way that you get your content out of your network into other people's feeds. Tag people and use the hashtags, and you can also tag companies. I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay. It's pretty intuitive here. You want to add a photo. I can select an image from my computer and just add it. I don't know if I have any photos ready. Quick.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I also want to go back. So I'm going to discard that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a post that I just did. So post an activity. Here's a post I just did. Oops. Okay. Let's edit the post so you can see what I did. Okay. So what I did here, I put this to anyone. I shared an article that I thought that was very interesting. I took the URL, I put the URL in the post and I hit enter and it brings up this picture and the link to the web page. So here, I don't know this person, the writer, but I tagged him so that it would give him recognition for writing the article and also go to his followers. I also tagged the publication, PR News. So here, for example, I'll do it when there's not spaces. All right, say I was tagged in Forbes, for example. Okay, now all of a sudden I put that, I tag Forbes, and this goes on Forbes's feed. Anyone who's following Forbes, it will appear. Okay, so here's my content, here's my questions, and then at the bottom, I put all the relevant hashtags. These are the conversations.
Cheryl. I hate to do this.
I know.
We are at time.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is, if people have questions, please make a note of them. And or, yeah, I'll ask, we'll send out a survey perhaps where people can put their questions in, and we'll see what we can do about scheduling a part 2.
Yeah, I know that there's groups. That's important. I think that what is critically important is to show you how to find your groups, how to find effective hashtags.
Yeah.
And
I think people really want to know that stuff. So maybe we'll save that and go into more detail on next time.
And how do we reach Cheryl quickly?
Yes. Cheryl, how do you want people to reach you?
So here's my email.
Cheryl at Dixon@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, wow, that went quickly. I always over prepare, and I hope that I didn't lose you all with the importance of really finding your voice and what it is you want to post, because the mechanics are important, but being effective is also important.
Yeah. Cheryl, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate the time and energy you put in, and we'll do a part 2 more on perhaps demonstrating the actual how to find things, how to do groups and all that. Because I think now that people have a general orientation to LinkedIn, they'll take between now and next month to get over feeling overwhelmed, and then they can dig in the next meeting.
So if I can give everyone a homework assignment, think about who you are, who you want to be to your audience, and knowing that and what you want to accomplish, what is an example of the type of post that you would want to post? And then we could do that together.
And perhaps we can do a little bit of like interactive workshop on that, where people will bring you what they did as homework. So say the homework again.
So I'd like you to think about who you are, who your audience is, what you want them to do or know after you post, and think of a sample post.
Okay. Can I ask you to stop your screen share? Before we say goodbye?
Yes.
There we go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we shall meet again.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Take care.
Link in with me.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
I could follow you on LinkedIn. Needless to say, you are sort of at your max or way over your max.
No, I'm not at all.
Okay, so I found the wrong one then that I posted in the chat. I will have to go hunting again because it would only
Cheryl
let
F.
me follow
Dixon,
you.
I think it is. I think it's Cheryl F. Dixon.
Hold on. Let me find my.
You
No,
put your link in earlier, didn't you?
I put it in, but maybe it went to the page rather than to her personal. But it says you're my second connection.
That's
and
me.
I'm following you, but it wouldn't
Well, the
let
link that
me.
she gave us is linkedin.com,
It's in
IN/Cheryl.
the, yeah, here, I'll put it in the chat again.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You can, so follow is a button, hit more, and then you connect with me.
Okay, great.
Thank
you all.
Thank you.
More and then connect. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Sarah. See you again soon.